people don't usually do this. Look at the camera. Usually look over here because you're looking at yourself, and so this is how people tend to see. But if you make an effort to look at the camera, then people feel like, well, it's me talking to you. Um, Direct interaction, of course, not two way. Um, I was watching some. Well, I woke up to. This is a common experience with YouTube. Is you'll be sitting there and you'll be having a dream, and the dream will be whatever is the topic on YouTube that's being played to you subliminally as you're sleeping. And the one I woke up to was artificial intelligence. And in the dream, I was dealing with people who were losing their jobs or whatever to artificial intelligence beings and stuff like that. And I was trying to make get some idea to them that it was not uh, is going to be all that hard because once they come up with a way of doing something, they're going to need people to manage keeping that system working and in place. It is in the best interest of all corporations to they have a fiduciary responsibility to their creditors to make as much money as possible and to always make money and not ever take on a great cost. Um, so, and that's just the way it's defined um, when you have creditors. And it was guys like Milt Friedman who said if you don't if you don't you've got to design your corporation to satisfy the creditors, and they're the people you have to satisfy, not the consumers. And the consumers are going to help get you the money, but you're trying to get in the best return on investment for the creditors. And so the behavior of corporations have become about basically manipulating the consumers in such a way as to make more and more money, to learn what the consumers want and to provide them the things they think they want, things they think they need, and and to do it for the right price, but to accelerate this sort of stuff. And they're using AI now, and AI, what's really good at is pattern matching. And the pattern matching that it does is on a very, it's like every little piece of data that it can collect about everybody. It might be able from that data determine what kind of attributes make a good selling product, and it bases this on what everybody's doing, and in that the AI is going to find some sort of pattern, and it's going to match up with successful sales. And so it's kind of like the output is we want these certain kinds of things to improve. And then the inputs are like everything in the world, like all the data, on everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Because the way AI is designed, it's after our own design, and that is it uses these neural nets. And what the neural nets do is they take in kind of an image of all the data. It's called deep learning. They take in all the data and they connect it. They produce that as input to a function that is yet to be defined. It's defined as it's learning the data. Okay, It doesn't matter. And it can be very complex or it can be very simple data. It doesn't matter. And it really doesn't matter. You don't have to train it as to what all that information means. It doesn't know. You don't know. All you know is that it's what you're doing is you're taking the data and you're putting it into a form in which the AI the neural net can get access to that data, and then it develops um, an understanding based upon what kind of outputs are successful to what kinds of inputs of data are given. And they do have to do a certain amount of engineering to try to make this work well. But the idea is that they don't really have to understand how the inputs produce the necessary outputs that they want. So success in being able to sell certain products. So if the product is women's roll-on deodorant, they're going to say when all this data produces that kind of output, that's a success. That's a big win. Look for more patterns of this sort that match up to selling women's dry roll-on deodorant. And so that design is sitting there looking at all of this data, and it doesn't matter what it is. And when it finds that there's a pattern in that results in selling more women's dry roll-on dry deodorant or whatever, that is going to boost their sales. And so that's what it means to take in all of that private data or public data or whatever data it is that they're pulling in. And they're going to be pulling in the data. I mean, the data that's going to be relevant, you would assume, is stuff having to do with the women that would be buying it, but you don't know. It could be other things, and it could be things that are completely unrelated to the women directly. It could be stuff that happens to their husband, but you don't. But from that, they might be able to, with the AI, determine what the relationship is. But initially, the neural nets um, don't see they don't see the pattern. They gradually start to find the pattern that results in the outputs that are necessary. And that's all they have to do with these deep learning algorithms that use the neural nets and stuff. All they have to do is configure the AI to recognize or configure it in such a way that it can teach itself to recognize the patterns that produce the necessary outputs that are the desires, the outputs of the corporation or of the company that's trying to increase their sales. And and it seems like kind of magic, and to a degree it is, but think about it as if you had an eyeball, if you had an extra eyeball on your head, and that eyeball had the capacity to take in a really complex picture and in your mind tell you what the information means in terms of the desires you have. And so you would be giving the desires you want to that algorithm. It's going to take from the data and it's going to give you some idea of when that data means what it is that you want. Okay? And so it will notify you, or it'll show you an image before you or something, but be the image that is generated whenever this complex data comes to that. And your eyes do things like that with images, shape recognition, recognition of shapes in low light, and all the various sorts of aspects. All that stuff, it requires learning, and once you've completely learned it, then you know who your friends are in all kinds of lighting situations. But how you are able to know that from image data that's coming in on the retina of an eye is kind of magical. It requires learning, and the learning is what the neurons do, and that's what the AI is based on. Is the way your neurons work in your brain. And so the difference is that we don't usually deal with the amount of data that these computers are going to be dealing with. And we don't have the capacity to see the patterns that they can see in the data that we're presenting them. That data is like their eye onto the world. That's where they see the that's how they see the world, is through that data. They don't see anything else. And the AI don't know anything about anybody, or even that they don't have the capacity to really make choices or anything. It's all about getting desired outcomes from the input data that comes from consumers. And it really is just pattern recognition. It's recognizing patterns that produce the necessary results that the companies want. And it was the same kind of AI that decided that you might want to watch my videos. Now, I don't know what the hell these AI and YouTube is thinking by having people coming and listening to me talk about stuff, but maybe there's something to it. And so I don't know. But maybe it'll help you understand a little bit.